In the chaos of World War I, amidst gunfire and grit, over 250 British soldiers vanished during a single assault. No bodies. No survivors. Just silence. The event would become one of the most baffling wartime mysteries ever recorded, the disappearance of the Sandringham Company. They were part of the Norfolk Regiment, men who bravely advanced into Turkish lines during the Gallipoli campaign. But within minutes, they seemed to dissolve into thin air. No enemy records, no confirmed deaths, only rumors, speculation, and conspiracy. What really happened on August 12, 1915? Was it a massacre? A cover-up? Or something far stranger? This is the chilling true story of the Vanishing Battalion, a tale buried beneath the mud, myths, and mystery of the First World War. The Sandringham Company, part of the 1/5th Battalion of the Norfolk Regiment, was made up of estate workers from King Edward VII's royal estate in England. When war erupted in 1914, these patriotic men eagerly volunteered, forming a close-knit unit bonded by loyalty, tradition, and a shared homeland. In 1915, they were deployed to the Dardanelles as part of the ill-fated Gallipoli campaign, a brutal Allied offensive aimed at knocking the Ottoman Empire out of the war. The terrain was unforgiving, supplies were scarce, and the enemy held the high ground. Conditions were harsh, but the Norfolks were resolute. On August 12, the battalion was ordered to advance toward Turkish lines near Anafarta. Under intense fire and scorching heat, they pushed forward bravely into a low-lying ravine. Witnesses later described seeing them disappear into a strange cloud or mist, and they never emerged. No official explanation ever satisfied the public. Families waited for answers that never came. For decades, their fate remained a haunting question mark, wrapped in wartime confusion, secrecy, and deeply unsettling possibilities. The Gallipoli campaign was one of the most ambitious yet disastrous offensives of World War I. Launched by the Allies in 1915, the objective was to open a new front by seizing the Dardanelles Strait, thereby cutting off the Ottoman Empire and aiding Russia in the east. Britain, France, and Anzac forces landed on the rugged shores of the Gallipoli Peninsula in April 1915, facing fierce Ottoman resistance. The terrain was steep and unfamiliar. The heat was relentless, the flies unbearable, and the death toll mounted rapidly. Soldiers struggled not just against bullets, but nature itself. The British 1/5th Battalion of the Norfolk Regiment, mostly men from rural Norfolk, arrived in Suvla Bay in early August. Attached to the 163rd Brigade, they were ordered to support a fresh push inland near Anafarta, where Turkish defences had proven stubbornly impenetrable in previous attacks. The Sandringham Company was a unique unit within the battalion, personally raised by King Edward VII. Its ranks included gardeners, grooms, and estate workers. Their inclusion carried symbolic weight, tying the war effort directly to the British Crown and national pride. On the morning of August 12, 1915, under General Stopford's command, the battalion was told to advance across dry, open farmland. With no proper reconnaissance and poor coordination, they were exposed to Turkish artillery and rifle fire. Still, they pressed forward with determined courage. As they advanced, they entered a small valley shrouded in dust and smoke. British observers reported seeing the battalion move into the hollow, but what followed was inexplicable. Once inside, the soldiers appeared to vanish. No shots, no cries, just silence and empty land. Ottoman records did not list the capture or killing of such a large group in that location. Turkish soldiers later claimed they saw the unit walk into a strange cloud and never come out. The British command chalked it up to combat loss, but privately, many were stunned. Rumors swirled, were they killed and buried in secret? Had the Ottomans taken them as prisoners and executed them? Or was it simply the fog of war, hiding their fate beneath confusion, chaos, and bureaucratic missteps? Whatever the truth, the disappearance of the Norfolk Regiment became a symbol of the Gallipoli tragedy, a brutal campaign marked by poor planning, unnecessary death, and an enduring sense of loss. August 12, 1915. The Norfolk Regiment advanced over exposed farmland toward Turkish-held woods near Anafarta. Under blistering sun and enemy fire, they marched into a shallow ravine. British observers saw them push through a low-lying cloud or dust. Then, nothing. The battalion disappeared without trace. Surviving units waited for contact, but none came. Hours passed. Reinforcements sent to the ravine found only empty land, scattered shell casings, and no sign of bodies, wounded, or equipment. It was as if the Sandringham Company had been swallowed whole by the earth itself. British commanders were stunned. No immediate explanation surfaced. Some believed the men had been ambushed and annihilated, their bodies hidden or burned. Yet there was no blood, no disturbance in the landscape, nothing to support such a fate. Turkish military records reviewed after the war offered no clarity. No significant engagement in that area was recorded on that day. Some Ottoman soldiers later claimed they saw the British disappear into a strange fog that rose like a curtain and drifted away, leaving no trace behind. British reports referenced this cloud story, but dismissed it as battlefield confusion. Yet no better theory took its place. With no prisoners reported, no corpses found, and no confirmed battle, military leadership was left grasping for answers they couldn't give the public. In 1918, 3 years after the campaign, a mass grave was discovered near Anafarta. It contained bodies in British uniforms, some with Norfolk badges. But only a fraction of the missing men were accounted for. Most were never positively identified. The mystery endured. The War Office offered vague conclusions, stating the men had died in action during heavy resistance. But families of the Sandringham Company weren't satisfied. Their letters and inquiries often went unanswered, fueling suspicion of a cover-up or greater incompetence. Whispers of otherworldly explanations emerged. Some claimed a UFO took the battalion. Others pointed to experimental weather weapons or time slips. While fanciful, these theories filled the vacuum left by military silence and a complete lack of closure. The truth remains elusive. Whether lost to ambush, buried by the elements, or erased by chaos, the disappearance of the Norfolk men has never been conclusively solved. Their names are honored on memorials, but the full story of their final moments remains buried in the past. The disappearance of the Sandringham Company became more than a battlefield mystery. It evolved into a cultural symbol, representing the chaos, confusion, and cost of war. A royal unit vanishing without a trace captured the British public's imagination and haunted wartime memory for generations. At home, the loss shook morale. Families of the missing demanded answers, but official responses were vague or delayed. The king himself ordered investigations. The absence of closure left wounds open, and the Norfolk community carried the weight of unanswered questions long after the war ended. The case gained renewed attention in the decades following the war. Books, articles, and documentaries speculated on the soldiers' fate. Some blamed poor leadership, others pointed to hidden battles or massacres. Each version reflected changing attitudes about empire, warfare, and truth. In popular culture, the battalion became a kind of myth. TV shows and films portrayed their disappearance as supernatural. While most historians reject paranormal explanations, the story's eerie nature made it ripe for fictionalized retelling, blending history with legend. The Gallipoli campaign itself is now studied as a failure of military strategy. The Norfolk Regiment's fate highlights the price of poor communication and planning. Their loss became a case study in how even the bravest units can vanish amid bureaucratic chaos. Memorials were later erected to honor the fallen. One stands in the Sandringham estate, where the company originated. Each name carved in stone reminds visitors of a time when royal loyalty and rural valor marched into war, and never came home. Theories continue to circulate. Some believe the men were accidentally shelled by Allied artillery. Others think Turkish irregulars executed them and covered it up. But no definitive evidence has ever emerged. The truth remains elusive, and perhaps unknowable. Modern archaeology has revisited Gallipoli using drones, ground-penetrating radar, and forensic science. Some progress has been made in identifying battlefield positions, but nothing conclusive about the Norfolk men. Their disappearance resists explanation even in the age of technology. In a war defined by mass death and muddy confusion, the vanishing of a single unit reminds us that history is often incomplete. The silence of the Sandringham Company still echoes today, a question mark carved into the heart of World War I. More than a century later, the mystery of the Vanishing Battalion remains unsolved. Over 250 men walked into a battle and never returned, their fate lost in the fog of war. No story better captures the tragic uncertainty that defined World War I. We've explored the battlefield, the conflicting reports, the rumors, and the legacy left behind. From royal roots to speculative theories, the Sandringham Company's disappearance still stirs debate among historians, descendants, and truth-seekers alike. What really happened in that ravine remains one of history's most haunting questions. If you're drawn to stories that blend history, mystery, and forgotten truths, subscribe to the channel and join our journey. Don't forget to like, share, and comment below. What do you think happened to the Norfolk Regiment? Your voice helps keep their memory alive.